Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death you're listening to our show tonight. It's just me and Tony in the studio.
Yep.
Rob, the man, is buried under amplifiers as he gets usually. And despite everything he says about everyone, he does actually like coming here.
Yes. I thought he told me that he's discharging filter caps
He probably is.
with his tongue.
Yes, I imagine that's why he's so salty. Anyhow, but never fear, because we've got a great show. We have this person. Who's this person? Introduce yourself.
Dun, 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 dun. My name is Chris Evans, not the guy who plays Captain America, of O.C.E. Pedals.
Yes, O.C.E. pedals. Where can people go find O.C.E. pedals out in the mist?
We have a website. It is ocepedals.com with no periods. And then on Instagram, it is O.C.E. pedals with periods, because I just wanted everybody to be really confused.
Perfect.
Monsieur
I also have
Accompli.
YouTube too. I'm going to try to be doing some more video stuff on YouTube, but Instagram's kind of the best way. You know, I share some behind the scenes stuff on there if you want to get in, and but go over to the website. Also sign up for the mailing list, find out about sales, all that kind of jazz.
Perfect.
Cool.
And let's see here. Well, yeah, so clearly we're going to talk about O.C.E. pedals and junk, and it's going to be great.
Do we have any announcements?
We do have some announcements. Number one. Announcement number one. Tony, what pedals have we been giving away as of late?
I believe they're called warm pedals.
That is correct. We have, so far, to this date, given
many?
away their warm bender,
Warm bender.
the jet, the jet phaser,
Like the Ibanez.
yeah, and the actual mutation phaser. Trying to remember their version of it.
Like a Mutron.
Like a Mutron. And this week, we are going to be giving away, well, we would have already given it away at this point,
Yes.
the Ringer Bringer.
Ringer Bringer.
And what is that? It's their version of the what, Tony?
That would be the Mooger Fooger.
Yes. Or the Moger Foger, if you are someone who says GIF instead of GIF. Anyways.
How do you pronounce Peg?
Yeah. So anyways, this is an analog ring modulation pedal with LFO, MOD, FREQ, and RATE controls.
That's a lot of letters.
It is. Some of them say things. But we're really excited because that went to Tom Barazin.
Tom Barazin.
Tom Barazin. That's correct.
Excellent.
So that's going to be going out to him. That means that we have 3 pedals left.
Oh, wow.
3 pedals left.
And then there were 3.
Yes. So very excited about that. Thank you, Tom, for supporting our show for so long. We truly appreciate you. And congratulations on winning that little nifty device. That'll be coming out to you real quick. I also had, let's see here. Oh, yes. We got a couple of things that we said that were said to me. Number one, you know, a lot of people will say, well, how does this work? You know, I've been in a thing and I've seen, and it's like, we do it
Randomly.
chosen randomly. And when I send things out, I say, you know, especially like this, I try to get a clue of what people are wanting. Like, hey, who's a really big fan of distortion? You know, maybe we got a distortion pedal or something like that. In this case, I said, these are the pedals. To all our supporters, tell me in which one you would want most to least.
So that if and when we pull their name, we can match
That is
the
correct.
name with their desired effect.
That is correct. And Bob Crouch, in response,
Uh-oh.
yes, and he's a witty character. He sends us all kinds of great stuff.
Yes, he does.
He says, I won a pedal not too long ago. If my name gets chosen, I'd rather you redraw for someone who hasn't won something before.
Whoa.
Cheers, Bob. Now that is a gentleman.
That's
It's a class act right there.
That's a true guitar knob.
Yes. So thank you, Bob. That was you showed your true colors right there, and the rest of the knobs appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very cool.
I also wanted to call out. This was Richard. So Richard Kendall won the mutation phaser. And he said, "Hey chum, thanks so much. I can't believe my luck. I really appreciate all the hours and hours of top-notch guitar-based entertainment you gents whip up week after week. You're all gems, even Rob Chafe." He actually said that. I'm not just putting that in there.
I would have. I would have assumed that would have been your addendum.
Yes. He says, "Big hugs. Say hi to Tony for me."
Hey.
So there you go. Love hearing from listeners, supporters on Patreon, and other listeners.
Yeah.
Get stuff all the time about that.
It's very cool.
Anyways, so let's move on. What's going on in our music worlds this week? And this is going to give Chris a chance to think about what he's been doing this week. Right, Chris?
Okay.
Perfect. That wasn't building pedals.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good.
Or
2
going
for
to
2.
work.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're going to start off with Tanya Blonsky right here.
That's right. That's a rather lame introduction.
I thought that was pretty great. You want it more elaborate?
Yeah, I tend to enjoy the more elaborate versions.
The Tanya Blonsky. There you go.
Yes. Well, Todd, if you remember back, it was at least a month ago. I was trying to figure out. I decided I did not have an SG type guitar in my arsenal,
Which was weird.
which is weird, but they come and go. Like,
Except for me. I'm not a fan.
yeah. Well, that's your
That's me.
personal
My
problem.
thing.
So I did a lot of diving in to see what was available and the pricing and everything like that. And I have to say, I'm shocked on one hand at the current pricing on a lot of guitars, and I'm kicking myself for selling guitars just a few years ago that are now almost double of what I sold them for.
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's crazy out there. Long story even longer. I decided that I would make a sojourn to my friends at DH Gate.
Aha.
And lo,
And behold.
there was a SG Junior
And
style.
SG. Come on, Tony.
An SG?
Yes.
No. It's ASG.
No. And SG. That's a vowel. It starts with a vowel. If it starts with a vowel, you put an and before it. Cripes, 3rd grade. Anyways, keep going.
I was kicked out of 3rd grade by the nuns. They didn't like me. I didn't.
The nuns.
I
Don't get me
didn't.
started.
I had to make an act of contrition. Anyhow, so I found, and this was from a seller that I've purchased from before, the style of SG Junior that I really like has the little mustache pick guard on it, and single pickup P90 in the bridge, wraparound tailpiece. And I mean, the crazy thing was this was shipped from China. It was like $235.
Jeez.
And I got it this past week.
White,
and
black pickguard.
yeah,
It looks great.
it's a aged white with the black pickguard. And of course, the first thing I do is I strip everything off of it. And there's a couple of things I still have to address. Like, I'm not happy with the tenon joint that they did. They really carved it out, because I think what they did is they used this as a base for, if they do a 2
That
pickup
used to
model.
be a BC Rich.
Really? Wow, in that case, they did a stellar job. So there's a couple of things, and then the bridge pickup route, I don't know why they did this. They could have just, routed a nice rectangle. Instead, they pretty much routed like the underside of a dog ear.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why would you do that? It's more work and it's less stable. So I have to, once I get everything, and it's actually, I did the final setup on it today. It actually plays really well. I I do have to glue some wood in place and make a couple of minor modifications, and of course put new guts in it.
So you spent $500 on a $235 guitar?
No.
No.
I mean, the pickup it's a Fralin noiseless P90.
Did it come with the case?
No, the case I got that. It was a musician's friend.
Nice.
Stupid deal of the day for like $59 or $69.
Okay.
So
we're like at $365 now.
yeah, I mean, let's just say $400 for the sake of argument.
Yes.
And I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, you couldn't buy a Gibson for that, like even close.
You
wouldn't
could
even-
not find anything, even an Epiphone at this point in time. Because I was going to stoop down to the level of Epiphone, although...
Yeah, you don't have to stoop anymore. Those ones are nice now.
Yeah, a lot of the newer Epiphones are pretty nice. But so here, that's what I've got, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I had to, as with all these things, you got to do fret work on it. You've got to do some cleanup. You got to put new guts in it, new electronics. And when all is said and done, you have a decent playing guitar.
Yeah.
That looks the part.
That's true, especially if you're able to actually take care of most of that, which you are. But the average person...
Maybe not so much the average
You're
person.
going to end up putting as much as you did for the guitar, if not more.
Maybe.
If you replace all that stuff and have to have the labor for it and the setup.
Yeah.
So for you, it's a good deal.
For me, it's a good deal.
For you, it's a good deal.
All right. That was my music world this week.
Lovely. Chris, what's going on in your music world?
This is from a few weeks ago, but I turned 45
Oh,
Hey!
month. So I dipped my toes into my first quote unquote vintage guitar.
Wow.
And I bought a 1976 Les Paul Custom.
Ooh, wow. Cool. What color?
It's like a clownburst, sunburst, but like really tomatoey. But
Oh, yeah.
one of my first guitar heroes was Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam, and he played like a clownburst Les Paul, in the early days. So I've got a thing for it, but it's super nicely patinaed. Like all the gold hardware looks really cool, and it plays really nice. It's already been refretted, which is always a thing with those 70s, customs. They have like the fretless wonder kind of thing going on. So it's already refretted, and it has a really cool case that has this super cool like band logo stenciled on it that says Destiny. And I was like, come on, I gotta get it just for that. So,
It's like the pick of destiny.
yeah.
Now, did that come with a back brace?
Yes. It came with. It was like a power loader, like in Aliens, so you can,
But those, I mean, they are very cool guitars. Our buddy Jared had I think it was about from the same era though, the white one. Then that as well. It's now like orange.
Yeah.
And they weigh a lot, but man, they still sound great.
If you can get a good one, they're all over the place, but this one's really nice, and the neck's really. It's like slim but really comfortable, and so it's pretty awesome.
And that's cool because that's like, wow, so many years of like somebody had played their hopes and dreams on that, probably trying to be in a band and gig out and all that business. And
I took the pick guard off, and there's a huge wear mark from like the somebody had the pick guard off, and from all the playing.
Wow.
But then weirdly, there's no buckle rash on the back. So me and my friends were joking that it's like somebody that played really hard but didn't wear any belt buckles.
Right.
So
Right.
They wore suspenders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or a dress.
Or a dress.
Yeah.
or spandex maybe in the
True.
80s. You never know.
Oh,
That's true. Well, that's really cool, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'll
Now,
be
hopefully you save a little left in the chamber for your 50.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I get there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week,
What about you, Todd?
thanks, Tony. This week, I was tired, and I had purposely not been playing because I just something in my I had a lot of things on my mind. I was doing a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to do it because I think I have to, or I should rather. I want to do it like I want to go down and play when I want to play, and it was getting late. And I was like just chilling with my wife, and we were just, waiting for the kids to get better and everything. And all of a sudden, I was like, and I go, oh my gosh! And I jumped up, and she's like, where are you going? I run downstairs, and my daughter, who's like, will stop you anywhere and go, so let me tell you about this really big. And I was like, and I keep running down the stairs. I encounter my last one. She's like, Dad, run downstairs. And then I grab my phone because I hit the record, and I was like, I just had a whole song, the whole thing, just blech, right there, right in my. It was awesome, and I'm just glad I got downstairs in time, or before I
Despite the obstacles.
Despite the obstacles, yes, yes, it was like get smart.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was just and I was very happy that I was like, oh man, I got something good here. But B, I was also just so. Sometimes I get really amazed about how things happen. Especially in our brains and stuff. And I'm just sitting there I don't know, talking about what we're going to do this weekend. And then my brain decided to go hey, buddy, incoming. It's like, where does this stuff come from? I mean, it was a flash. It was literally just a picture that came in my head. And I was like,
wow.
The whole thing. That's marvelous. I just don't understand it. I wish I did. I mean, if we did understand it, everybody would be able to harness that better.
Perhaps it was divine intervention.
Could be. I don't know. Anyways, I know that also happens probably a lot for Chris, too, because he's going to tell us a little bit about his career. I know that happens in my personal one quite often. It's a neat thing, and I'm glad I get to experience that kind of thing.
Why didn't you call me?
I was busy recording the thing.
We could have played it back to me.
I could have.
I'm very disappointed in you, Todd.
As usual. That was the big.
That's pretty cool,
the big
though.
thing. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah. Anyways, let's get on with the thing. The thing that we did.
The thing.
Yes.
What thing is that?
Well, this is where we say, hey, you know what? When you get a really great idea,
Yes.
you know how to connect those great ideas together?
Apparently using a phone.
Tour Gear patch cables.
Tour Gear
patch
Designs.
Yes,
patch
that's
cables.
correct. That's the best way to stitch ideas together. Or if you happen to have handy pedals instead of ideas, it works even better for those.
Some people might call their pedals ideas.
Yes. Well, these will help stitch them together. They are nice and small and flat, and the profile on them. And it's not these pancake patch cables that that stick out the sides and pinch the 9-volt and all that business. They're very, very small. In fact, they're about the size of the diameter of the actual input.
I believe that to be
the jack
true.
Input.
Yes. And they come in all different lengths, and there's an S shape.
3 inches to I think 27 inches.
Can
Now,
I talk about the shapes first?
Yeah.
There's an S
C-shape and an S shape. Oh, there we. I helped you out.
Aww, I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
get to say it.
Now, if Chris was to go there right now,
Yes.
Chris, you're going there right now, right?
Yes.
I actually am.
Perfect.
There. They make Y cables too, just to add another shape.
And
in there.
TRS.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do it all.
In fact, Chris, when you load your
Shopping
cart
cart.
up, because you will.
Well, first of all, did you go to tourgeardesigns.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. He's there.
You're step one.
Load up, and then when you check out, you're going to get a coupon code or the space to put in the coupon code. What do you put in, Tony?
The guitar knobs, all lowercase, all one word.
And what are you going to save?
You're going to save an extra 15%. That's 15% on an already
More than reasonable price. for these
reasonably
things.
priced product.
Yes. Indeed. It's less than a hamburger.
I would say that would be
It's
true.
less than, you could get a whole basket less than a hamburger. these
unless
days.
you're going to White Castle.
No. Yeah. Well, you don't.
Those don't count
Anyways,
as hamburgers.
Thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
You're really embellishing it these days.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
Oh, all right. Chris Evans from O.C.E. Pedals. What's your 4 on the floor?
I decided to do 4 that were all from like builders that are friends of mine. So number 1 is a kind of a overdrive that can get you a lot of different sounds. It's the Lila Drive from Music Box Pedals. It is based off the Timmy, I believe.
Ah, yes.
So, you get the bass and the treble. There's clipping options. You can get from like low gain up to kind of like a mid gain type of deal. And the guy from Music Box told me that the pedal is named after his daughter, Lila, who is a nonverbal autistic, and she loves pinwheels. And there's a pinwheel on the front of the pedal. So it's like a great story, and it sounds awesome at the same time. I don't even know if he makes these anymore, but I really like it. So, and he got me a special one that's like, it's like army green with gold Marshall knobs. So it's a kind of a cool color.
Oh, that's cool.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so second, I went with a distortion because I like the gains. And this one is going to be the woodcutter from my friends Grant and Karen at Big Ear Pedals.
Yep.
And, it's a great take on a rat based off Grant's woodcutter made rat pedal, which doesn't mean anything. It was just a guy that made the pedals. But anyway,
the famed 308 chip, that batch seems to be better than everybody's batch.
No, it was just there was this one guy who called himself Woodcutter who would put his name on the inside. Number 3 is the Evergreen Fuzz from 903 Effects, and this is 903 is a guy named Seth. He's from Texas, and this is a really cool take on I think it's like a Green Russian Big Muff style.
What's it called again?
The Evergreen Fuzz. Yeah, so green Russian, but it's got all your normal controls, level, fuzz, tone, but he's added a mids knob, like to because that's the whole thing with Big Muffs, they don't have any mids, so, but I loved how he named it. He named it the muff knob. So it's like, how muff do you want it to be?
That's
you
clever.
turn it all the way up and it cuts the mids.
Yeah.
Turn it down, brings the mids back. And then I think it even has like a gate, so you can get a gated fuzz thing.
Yeah.
And I believe you can turn off like the clipping diodes too.
Yeah, there's a clipping mode there.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I really dig that one. And then last is the Oracle delay from my friend Zach at Mythos Pedals.
Ah, yes.
Which is, I really dig like the 8999, 89, AD9 Ibanez kind of style delays, but they're in terrible form factors for being on a pedal board.
They're really ugly too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I was like, I appreciate all kinds of graphics, but they really just sort of phoned it in on that one.
Also, the 8999, like that's probably my favorite, but it's gigantic. The back is covered in foam, so it's like if you want to put it on a pedal board, you have to try to rip all the foam off. I mean, it's too much. So Zach did this delay, kind of, not like based on those, but sort of the spirit of those. It's a bucket brigade delay, but it's got a tap tempo, and fits on a pedal board. It's like that kind of standard double enclosure, and I think it sounds great. And it's been on my board for, I guess, ever since it came out.
Yeah, in that spirit, that's how you do that thing, right? I think he did a better job with that vibe.
Yes.
The aesthetic of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, man. Yeah, Zach's been on the show a few times. Hello, Zach, if you're listening. And if you're not,
why aren't you?
You should.
Stop watching your own show.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyhow, cool, man. I totally get behind the idea of lining up your friends' pedals. That's really cool. And you know what? They're all really, really, those are all solid picks, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, honorable mention, like I could have thrown in like the Lightspeed, which everybody uses, and like Nick Greer's always been very nice to me, but I thought I'd throw in the Lila just because it's like kind of a little more, I guess, left of center or something
It
like
is.
that.
That's a great call out, and I like the idea behind that. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we are going to dig into some other pedals, O.C.E. pedals. Is that okay with you right now?
I guess. I mean, that seems not standard, but okay, sure.
Shocker! Here comes an interview.
Show whatever you guys want to talk about. Yeah.
So let's first get an understanding of where does the O.C.E. name come from?
It is original Chris Evans, which I started doing after the actor guy got famous. Yeah.
Well, and you're in that area too, so there's
Disney is literally like 5 minutes from where I live. So
yeah. Now, your background, let's just talk about that really quick.
Sure.
I always love finding out where people are coming from in their either intended or desired or just flat out daily life. And then we find out like, well, so how did you fall into this kind of a thing? You are in familiar territory for me. Well, why don't you tell everybody what you do?
I am a digital animation director for the SpongeBob universe at Nickelodeon Animation Studios.
Nice.
Yeah. Not a bad gig.
No, not a bad gig at all. And we actually have a friend in common. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, do you know my pal, Dan? And
yeah, it turned out we'd worked on a bunch of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Just in different parts of the process.
Yeah. So that's really cool. You obviously are a man of talent and imagination, which can get you really far in life if you apply it correctly.
Yes. Or if you can, or you can just sit around and wonder. But
yes.
Yeah, you can figure out an outlet. It definitely works out. Yeah.
So as a digital animator, tell them, what do you do?
Okay. Well, if you're familiar with the show, we do a lot of these kind of crazy, kind of like Monty Python moments where there'll be live action stuff that comes into the animated world, like an arm or an anchor or something will fall on people, or when the characters go out of above the water, they turn into the live action equivalent of SpongeBob turns into a sponge, Sandy turns into a live action squirrel.
Right.
So I do a lot of that, animate the compositing and animating that stuff. I do some videography, do photos sometimes, some effects animation. It's a really fun gig because we just get to do a lot of really weird stuff. Recently, I made a hamburger and took a photo of it because they wanted a really good looking burger. So I was reading blogs about food styling and stuff like that. So fun. They definitely keep me on my toes with the kind of stuff they want to do. So it's a fun gig, and SpongeBob's become like Nickelodeon Simpsons, so hopefully it's 25 years this year. So
that's crazy.
I can't believe that.
Hopefully we'll be on. Maybe I can ride this out till retirement. Hopefully.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad gig.
No.
For sure. Well, that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing a bit about that. Has that always been your whole thing, or? I
mean, I grew up in I was a kid in the 80s when there was all that kind of animation boom. It was mostly to sell toys, like Transformers, G.I. Joe, all that kind of stuff. And then, in the 90s, there was the seminal Batman, the animated series, which had a big effect on me as a kid. And then I went to school for illustration at the Rhode Island School of Design. And got a internship my junior year at Hasbro, the toy company.
Oh, wow.
And kind of learned there that it was there's all this other stuff you can do if you have design and illustration skills. It's not just being an editorial illustrator or something like that. So it was finding out you could go do commercial art, or you could work at, you design packaging, or you could go work in games, or animation or whatever. So I kind of like just put it to myself that I was like, I think I want to try to move out to LA and be work in animation. And I was lucky enough to be able to get in. I met some people, and that's kind of how it works out here. And then you just hopefully work hard and can continue to move up and stuff. But it's it's a funny thing. I go home sometimes to like my hometown, and I don't talk about what I do all that often, because I have like friends that still kind of do like manual labor type stuff, and I always feel weird, like I'm bragging. But they're like, no, we want to hear about what you do. But it's like this thing. It's like my job still sucks sometimes. Yes, it's cool to work on SpongeBob, but occasionally you still have to deal with people that, like executives that don't know what they're doing and all this kind of stuff. So it's, I worked on Marvel animation for 3 years, and that was super fun, but also Marvel was super cheap. So it was like, not fun at the same time, I guess,
Yeah, they have a show called Fun Not Fun. I think you worked on that.
Yeah. It was the predecessor to What If. It was Fun Not Fun. How far can we push these animators? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the age old. Be careful what everybody says. Do exactly what makes you happy. Is like, that could ruin it too, if you're not careful.
Yeah. I mean, there's been projects I've worked on where I thought about quitting, and like other people did, like quit the business just because they were like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So it happens. And, it's not all, we're definitely getting to do something that a lot of people want to do and don't get to. And so you have to remind yourself of that sometimes. Like, there's kids that move out here probably every day and, come out for 6 months and run out of money, and then have to move back to, Iowa or like wherever they came from. And I had a cousin that did that. He came out for a while and never got a gig and just had to move back. And so I have to remind myself of that a lot. And then also sometimes when stuff gets rough, I have to remind myself, like, end of the day, like, I'm doing weird, I'm like, making a puppet or something, like it's not the worst thing in the world to do goofy stuff all day, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I dig it. I like that you've got a solid perspective, and it's probably helped shape a lot of other things in your life. Maybe even do you apply this to your pedal world at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved making stuff, like whether it be in the computer or I used to do like costume and prop replica stuff back in the day. And a lot of that kind of skill set lends itself to pedal building. Like, so at the end of the day, you're building something,
Yeah.
And
something satisfying about seeing your work resolve into something tangible.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all these kind of like not technical, but like these stuff you have to decide, like, okay, how am I going to drill the holes? How am I going to get it printed? How am I going to do the artwork? What kind of jack am I going to use? What, there's a little groove in the switch. Are you going to point that up or are you going to point that down? Like this may sound like tiny stuff, but it's like when you're trying to.
It would have been way funny if you were yelling all those things.
Yeah. But that's some of the stuff I talk about when I'll do like a live stream, and guys will be like, what do I need to do to get into, pedal building? And I'll be like, I don't know, be really anal about how you put all your capacitors into drawers. There's all this kind of stuff too,
Yeah. Do you pre-clip them? Do you wait till you need it to tear it off the tape,
Yeah. I mean, I have friends, they pre-clip all their resistors, and I was like, I don't got time for that. But everyone has different ways. But it's so yeah, I mean, I love making stuff. I'm a big fan of the kind of like maker movement. I like watching like Adam Savage's one day builds. I like doing prop stuff and weathering things. So a lot of that early pedal stuff I was doing a lot of that weathering techniques, the aging stuff that I've learned from the prop side, like how to make stuff look old and beat up. And that's kind of where the hardware like things started. Was like,
let's talk about the hardware just really quick so that people have an understanding. Explain the hardware.
So when I was kind of trying to transition into doing like a line of pedals and not kind of just like one-offs or like small runs, I was like, what should I do? And I'd done these fuzzes way back called the hardware fuzzes, where it was just the same. It was like a fuzz face, but every one had a little tool bolted to the front of it. And people seemed to think that was like interesting. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And every like tool will be a different, different circuit. So that was kind of where that was born out of. And so I started with one called the wrench that was like a fuzz face, my take on a fuzz face. Mm-hmm. And sent it to some friends. My friend Mark Hopkins, who's a great YouTuber, singer-songwriter, he loved it. And then Josh Scott from JHS happened to see it on Mark's channel and then asked me to send him one, and it got on the JHS show. And so that was kind of like how I gained some exposure early on. And so I've just kind of continued with that. So there was the monkey wrench, which was sort of like a distortion pedal. And then I did the pliers, which was a 2-in-1 overdrive and boost. And then there was the step ladder, which is a octave up. And then the lineman, which is my newest distortion, kind of expands out from the monkey wrench. And then my latest was the hammer, which is like a heavy kind of big muff style fuzz. And each of them have little keychain tools bolted to the front of the, the step ladder doesn't. The step ladder has a patent drawing of a step ladder like printed on it. So
couldn't you have gotten a small step ladder and put it on in front?
I thought about it.
Like a whittle waddle for your Jeep.
Yeah. Like the little ladder for your TID flow. Yeah. It's too bad because they're aluminum, so it's like nothing's gonna magnetize to it. But that would have been pretty funny. I should have, actually now you're making me
do a
feel
mini
bad.
pedal called the Widow Wadder.
Widow ladder.
The Widow Wadder. I should. Now I'm like, man, I should have tried to find like a toy like fireman ladder or something, but anyway, it's that whole thing may be slowly getting phased out just because the sets of keychains that I was buying from like a Chinese distributor are no longer available. So eventually I think I'm going to go down to doing something maybe with the kind of patent drawing thing that I did on the step ladder.
It's really cool, man.
Yeah. So, that's kind of what happens. And, also maybe do smaller enclosures because a few people have asked about that. Like, could I get a wrench, but not in the big enclosure? And I'm like, yeah, maybe someday. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, good. It's a clever idea, and it definitely makes them stand out. And, even if you do move on to changing them up, anytime you have a solid idea to begin with, and then you move on, you get to do something, that expands your brand more. But now you've got a cool like legacy line.
Yeah.
That's I think that's really cool. I love when people are able to do that. A lot of people do, like our friend Wooly from Champion Lecky. Like he was hand painting all of his early effects, and they were really fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounded great, but I was just absolutely thrilled to get like, dude, you painted this. That's awesome. I'm never going to get rid of that thing.
Yeah, that's how a lot of my early stuff was. I was just painting it in my garage and doing stamps and stuff like that on it. And even some of the early hardware stuff, the early wrenches were all weathered, aged and stuff. And then I kind of moved away from that to make it quicker to make them. And then I did like an special aged version that came in like a wooden box, stuff like that. So it's fun to kind of still throw that stuff out there occasionally to kind of like one-offs. And I do a thing called the fantasy fuzzes. That's this thing I started on Black Friday a couple years ago. And it's like fuzzes based off of like nerdy stuff from Lord of the Rings or like Game of Thrones, and then I do like 10 or 12 of them, and just put them out. And there's a few guys that are trying to like collect all of them and stuff like that. So, I'm a dork with that kind of stuff. So it's fun to kind of bring that in too. So
now you could do a micro ladder that you have the drawing on, but then you do like the Maker's Mark dip. And call it the Wed Wedding Widow-Wada.
There you go. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna write that down. Wed Wedding Widow-Wada. Yeah. We're bringing the lines together, guys.
They are converging. We probably shouldn't let that happen. Anyways. Gosh, the brain does weird things. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
You've got these pedals are your core pedals. And we saw them at NAMM. We mentioned that on I'm trying to remember who it was. It
was Tyler from Acorn.
Oh,
Tyler
yes.
Yes. So and I was bummed because I didn't get a chance because there was just this moat of people around around Pedal Island. And
you know what? Actually, now I'm confused because I wasn't at NAMM.
Well, your pedal.
Did somebody else have one of my pedals there?
I'm almost positive that I saw it there because immediately I recalled seeing it there.
Might have been ECO pedals.
Yeah,
that guy. He's always taking my business.
There's forks and knives and spoons.
Yeah.
The tea kettles.
The flatware series. Yeah.
He had one called the ladle, so it was a whittle wadle.
Wadle.
Ridiculous.
People are like shaking the steering wheel. What do you stop it?
Makes them stop.
If like maybe I'll do this, I'll do it as like a fake, like start a fake Instagram of like ECO pedals. Start what
if it was even more successful than those?
that'd be really funny. Yeah. It's like
now I don't know about this tool shed guy, but this kitchen instrument guy, I get it. He's got my number.
It'd be funny if the circuits were I just do the same circuits, and then people would be like, we'd like arguing over which one's better. Like,
I like the pre-fork one, man. That was so much better.
The pizza cutter's way better than the wrench, or whatever.
Yeah. Too cool. So now you probably get asked a lot, like, wait, but you're an animator. What the crap?
Yeah. Why am I doing pedals? Yeah.
Well, why are you doing pedals? And you can come up with a design for your pedals? I get that all the time in my life, so I'm assuming that happens to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the early thing was it was trying to figure out something I could make at home because it's tough to do like printed pedals. Like powder coated and printing, a lot of times there's minimums that you have to order.
Sure.
And so I was like, what can I do that kind of like
doesn't do that?
I could just do it in the garage, So I was like metal stamping like the control, labels and stuff like that into the enclosures and all this. And but I do kind of I have some ideas for like another line that might be more like, here's the crazy art, kind of thing. Like, because I do want to do that too. Like, I love doing graphic design and illustration and stuff. And I've helped some other people out with that, friends and in the industry. And I'd love to show that off a little bit more. So I kind of have an idea for like a line that's based off of, some like atomic disasters where I can just do like really cool, crazy like artwork on them and stuff. And maybe the circuits will just be like kind of a little bit more on the weird side. Whereas the hardware series is kind of like your bread and butter, like standard, kind of circuits, like So yeah, I don't know. The possibilities are literally endless, guys.
Yeah. Well, they are.
Yeah.
That actually reminded me of somebody that we're in talks with coming on the show, which is Footloose Effects. Yes. And basically, I think he was somewhat in the same dilemma a little bit, as far as like, hey, having stuff silkscreen and blah, blah, blah. I just want to make these. And
Yeah.
I think he does just an absolute banging job of
Oh yeah.
of bringing.
I'm looking at them on Reverb.
Yeah, they're
right?
super
Yeah,
cool.
super
Like
cool.
I
Yeah.
really, really dig this stuff, and I'm excited to
Yeah.
have him on the show soon. So anyhow, how it's one thing to say, cool, I want to make stuff, but guitar pedals, you've obviously established that you play guitar.
Yes.
Had you been building pedals before? Like, how did you stumble into the actual the circuit business there?
Yeah. I took a bunch of years off playing, and then when I bought my house, I kind of got back into it because it was like years of living in an apartment. I didn't really feel like annoying my neighbors, and so when I got my house, I was like, I can play a little louder now. And it was kind of just, it was in that like mid 2010s where it was like the boutique market was big, and then also Reverb was new, and so it was really easy to go on and buy stuff, and then if you didn't like it, you could sell it. So I got really big into buying pedals because I couldn't afford like a bunch of amps or anything. So I was like, oh, I'll just get a bunch of pedals.
Uh-huh.
And then I got into making kits. I made some kits as like gifts to friends. And then I made some for myself with like goofy names. Like I had a blues driver that was the blues lawyer. I had the Kelpton is Gog, which I think Tyler mentioned, which was a blues breaker.
Yeah.
That I took the actual like old graffiti and just changed the names and change it in Photoshop. And then I did a kit that Zach put out, Zach from Mythos. He put out a booster kit. And I got it, and I was like, I'm going to call it the Myth Booster, and then I'm going to do like
clever.
I'll do the Mythbusters font, and then I was like, I'll get it laser engraved, and so I took it somewhere, and then I was listening to like he was on I think like Rhett Shaw's podcast at the time, talking about how he loved like laser engravers and he loved Adam Savage, and I was like, okay, well this is clearly meant to be. And so I posted it, and he was like, this is awesome. And then he went and checked out like my Instagram and was like, wow, you work at Nickelodeon? That's really cool. And so I think it was, and then he saw like I'd posted some of my old like costume stuff, and he's into all the Ghostbusters stuff. He makes his proton packs, and so we became kind of like friends from that. And then one time I was like, hey, like how feasible would it be for somebody to make pedals as like a side job? And he goes, well, with your design skills, I think you could do it. And he was like, and I'll help you out getting started. And I don't really offer that to everybody.
That's cool.
And I was like, okay, so, and then I talked myself out of it because I was like, nah, I should be like writing or whatever. And then this thing happened. There was like a thing, the pandemic happened.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then I was stuck at home, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll start making pedals. So,
yeah.
And I
happened
started
to
off,
a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I think 1,000 pedal companies were born in like, March of 2020.
Yes.
So
lucky for us.
yeah. And I started off kind of doing some of the kind of nerdy stuff. I was doing some Star Wars related pedals. And I also love to give things kind of like punny names. So that like I had a Darth Vader rat pedal that was called I Find Your Lack of Gain Disturbing and stuff like that. So it's just like, so I think people like dug they kind of got where
cheeky.
they got where I was humor wise. And then also like, people, like the Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings stuff and all that kind of stuff. So but I couldn't do that forever because eventually Disney's going to send me a cease and desist. And like I said, they're only a couple blocks away, so it wouldn't be really hard for them to find me. So I kind of had to move on from doing that, but I still like to do that in limited amounts. Like that's what the whole fantasy fuzz thing is for, kind of to get some of that out there. So yeah. And I just got lucky that I met some people like Mark, and then he got, Josh Scott saw it, and then, got on the JHS show, and then I sent him another pedal that he put on the JHS show. That's actually how I met Tyler from Acorn. Like, our pedals were on the show at the same time next to each other.
That's
and
fun.
we were like in the chat, and I was like, "Your pedal sounds good." He was like, "I think your pedal sounds good." And then I was like, "Hey, you want to trade?" And he was like, "Yeah." So we like sent each other
that's cool.
pedals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
Tyler's a really, really good dude.
I also love, obviously I dig his sense of humor with all of his stuff.
Oh
so,
yeah.
yeah.
You can't not like his charisma.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I've just, I've been lucky to meet a lot of, the pedal world these days is very, very inclusive. Everybody's just kind of like willing to share everything that they know to anybody else. And there's not really a lot of people being like, no, that's my secret sauce. Like, it's everybody's. Apparently it wasn't always like this, but it is now. It's like, I've met Zach has always been, he's super busy, but it's like, he's always been really helpful. Lawrence from LPD Pedals has been like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Nick Greer bought like a big muff that I made off me when I was like an unknown, and that was like a big deal. It's like freaking Nick Greer,
Yeah.
I had a Greer hat that I used to put on when I was going to make something really hard. Like, it was like the power of Nick Greer will compel me or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
So.
The pedal community is a lot like Kermit's wagon in the Muppet Mobile. On their path to Hollywood, everybody can jump. Come on in. Come on.
Yeah.
Ride with us.
Yeah, I mean, there really is that feeling of like the rising tide lifts all boats. It's like the more exposure everybody gets, the better it is. If we can make clones cost $8,000, everyone will buy all the clone clones because they can't, afford the real ones or whatever.
Yes. Yes. Now it's time to focus on another pedal to make insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can. That's really cool. Now, for starting out, I do like to ask this particular question because there are so many people who have been in similar shoes or have or just want to try to get started or think they can make a go at it. What are some of the things that you wish you knew when you first started out?
I wish I hadn't been so scared to learn the PCB design program, Eagle.
Yeah.
I was like really worried it was going to be really hard. And then like what Zach sent me this like 5-minute video and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's not really that crazy. Just some problem solving, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also wished I had known earlier on that it's not really that expensive to get pre-drilled enclosures because I was drilling them by hand and then occasionally you'd mess them up and then you're like, oh, well, just throw that one out, kind of thing. And I think
then
also
you could have cool tools.
That is true. I bought a drill press and then I used it twice, but I still have it. It's in the garage. I think also I wish I would have known that. I wish I would have learned how to do surface mount stuff earlier. I know that's kind of taboo with some people, like everything has to be through hole, or point to point. And I think if you can make it sound good, it doesn't really matter. But especially for doing like overdrive circuits, like there's so many parts. And when I did the pliers, which was a dual pedal, like I was just like soldering resistors for weeks, getting like tennis elbow from like my soldering iron and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, if you're a one man shop, like any way you can make it easier on yourself, is better. So instead of having to spend, whole weekends building, I can just spend like a couple hours just putting things together and it still sounds good. So that's kind of my thing.
That's fair. I think one of the things that like I personally really enjoy doing is taking that time and focusing it on something we talked about the idea of creating something that, has your labors manifest into something physical. And not unlike yourself, I'm digitally bound, all day, and it's intense in what I do. So because those things are all basically, inside of a computer.
Yeah.
And there is nothing. Sometimes there's real things attached to it, but more often than not, there isn't.
Yeah.
When you have that on top of the notion that it's like it's a way to make something happen more immediately, because I'm sure like one of your shows or and projects that I do, it's like some of these things can take months to develop. So you get all lathered up at the beginning, and then when you finally launch the thing, it's like, okay, next, because not all, like, fortunately that doesn't happen to me all the time, but it has, and it's just simply because it's taken so long that the goal is to get it to the finish line, and sometimes that is not as rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, in the animation process, it's like when we start talking about something right before the design part starts, it's like 9 months until I see it in post-production, and then sometimes it's like a year before it airs. It's like I can't even tell anybody about it or show it to anybody until it's out, until they air it. And so it is nice to be able to go out in the garage and like make something from beginning to end in like a weekend, and you're like, here it is.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
You can play with it, kind of thing.
There's something zen about getting all the little bits and parts and sitting down there and having to focus, right? Because if you don't, you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
And then you got a Moger Foger.
Yes.
Or a Mooger Fruger.
Or a Moger Fruger. Yeah. So
Mooger, yeah.
So what are some new things? You kind of got the major fuzzes and some of the major distortions down.
Yeah.
What's next?
I'm kind of trying to figure out where I want to go right now. It's the market in the industry is cooling down a little bit because of the economy and inflation and stuff like that. And we had that COVID boom where people were just at home and everyone was just spending all the money they weren't spending, like going on vacation or whatever. And so there was a lot of people buying a lot of stuff. I mean, I put out the Hammer, what was it, last month? And I've only sold a few. And most of them were when I did like a crazy birthday sale on my birthday. Yeah. I knocked $45 off everything because I was just like, clever. I'm going nuts, or whatever. And so I have like a kind of cool fuzz that I've been working that's pretty close to finish. That's like, it's got like a bias knob, so you can kind of get the spitty thing if you want. And it's got a tone knob, so it gives a little bit more functionality that I really love. That might be next. I also have these crazy circuits like I was talking about that have the crazy artwork. And I'm like, maybe I should just do those, like just go whole hog and just be like, here's some nuts stuff, and just see if it like resonates with people, or whatever. So, I may transition some of the hardware stuff to like the smaller enclosures, like I said, but I'd wait till the current one's sold out, kind of thing. I don't know. It's kind of like a transitionary period. I've heard from some friends, like there's a lot of people that have kind of like started to slowly quit lately. And a lot of people are talking about like this year might be the kind of year when you see like whether people stick around, doing this. 'Cause it's tough, and it's tough to try to get the exposure really, to really get through to people. So that's why I might start doing some more YouTube content just to, show off some of the gear that I have, maybe do some like modding videos, stuff like that, just to, I have a 1985 Explorer that's like the James Hetfield guitar, and that's kind of a big deal. Like it's the white, with the EMGs, And it's like, maybe I could do a video about that and then get some Metallica people to come and look at my stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see you do, like I always think like where people work and like the little bench areas and stuff is also like kind of
yeah. That'd be fun. It's like my little garage space. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. It's I'm thinking about trying to shoot like a collection video and maybe like update it every year or something like that. Just showing off all my guitars and amps and all that. And I don't know. I have a black Flying V that I just got that I kind of want to make into like a Kirk Hammett style one, like the ones that Gibson just came out with that I don't really like, but I like this one. So maybe I'll do like a series where I do the mods to that or whatever, something like that.
You could do like a spooky Squidward on yours.
Yeah, I know it's tough. It's funny. Like I went to NAMM a couple years ago with my friend Mark, and he knows a lot of people, and he would like introduce me. I was like, here, it's my friend Chris. He makes pedals. And I kind of want to just be like, I also work on SpongeBob, just to try to, like,
maybe you've heard of it. It's the longest running animation ever.
I feel like that's like more interesting than like, oh, I make pedals, because it's like everybody makes pedals these days. But anyway, yeah, it's good. Yeah, just like shouting at Eli from Two Rock. Like, I work in the animation industry.
Yes, I make you laugh.
Yeah. I entertain your children. Give me a free $6,000 amp.
Yeah, for real. For real. Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, so let's talk about you got a lot of guitars. You were talking about some of those. What are you playing them out of?
My pedal platform amp that I use for playing my pedal board and testing is a Dr. Z M12, which is kind of like a Voxy 12. I think it's like a 12 watt thing.
Okay.
And
Dr. Z's right around our corner here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. We went out to his shop and did a whole show. And then he told us all about it on his episode.
Twice.
Yes.
It just reacts well to drives and stuff, and I've been kind of looking for that for a while. And I run that through an Avatar cab with a like a greenback style and a V30 style, because that's what he does for his cabs. And so that's that. I also have when I got the James Hetfield guitar, I bought a little Mesa Mark V 25 just so I could do the kind of
chuggy
Master of Puppets era, kind of thing. And then I have a 1985 Marshall 2204S, which is S is for small. It's like It's a JCM 800 that they did for 1 year that was like in a smaller head.
Oh, interesting.
And I have it on top of a Marshall 410 cabinet. So, yeah, it's kind of a little interesting. I mean, Marshalls were based off Bassman, and so it's kind of a little different feel than just doing like the 412. Yeah. So, and that's kind of cool. If you put a Tube Screamer in front of it, it'll do like the kind of Ride the Lightning kind of thing, or you can just kind of rock it out. So I've been having fun with that. And then I have a kind of boutique amp called it's by a place called Cutthroat Audio, and I think they're out of Idaho. It's called the Down Brownie, and it's a Brown Deluxe style amp, which is named, Down Brownie's a ZZ Top song. There's kind of this common consensus that like Billy Gibbons used a Brown Deluxe on some of the early ZZ Top stuff. And Brown Deluxes are kind of like known as like mini Marshalls. But he did this really cool thing where it's like the one channel is a Brown Deluxe. The other channel he turned into like an 18 watt Marshall. And then if you go into that channel and you pull one of the knobs out, you can run both channels, kind of like jumpering a Marshall. And then you can blend them together.
Whoa.
Which is pretty cool. And it has like it has a post phase inverter master, so you can run it like cranked and not kill yourself. And then it's got a bunch of other switches on the back for like the neutral feedback and like you can do solid state or tube rectification. It's got like a bunch of stuff. It's probably my favorite amp that I've ever played.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's if I just want to rock it out, I just plug straight into that one. You don't need any pedals for that.
Right on.
Yeah. So
Very
that's
cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, have you been in any bands that anybody can listen to, or you just hang out at home? Or
I was in a band in high school, but this is way back in the 90s. We did get on a compilation CD. I don't know if you'd be able to find it. I don't know if I want people to find it, but
say it.
But it would I forget what the actual album was called. The band was called Half Past 12. Man, it had the compilation had some goofy name.
They usually do.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of bands from Rochester, New York, where I'm from, and it was cool. We got to go, record in a studio to do it, and played like a show when it came out. And I think I had to, do like the publishing, and I actually got like a check one time for like a couple bucks because they got played on like a college radio station.
That's fun.
So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Nice. Okay, so you just got your Clown Burst. What's your Holy Grail guitar?
Holy Grail. Maybe like a 1960 Burst, like a real one, like like Clapton played when he was in Bluesbreakers, something like that.
Okay. Tony's nodding in approval to that.
I approve.
I'm a Les Paul guy. That's like Slash and Stone Gossard were my first two like guitar heroes. So it's like I've always been into Les Pauls, and I guess that's kind of like the Les Paul, but I like the slimmer necks. So the 1960 would probably be more up my alley. Yeah.
Right on. There you go.
Yeah.
What color?
I'd probably try to find one of the earlier ones when they still had the dye that faded. They did a thing in 1960 where they realized that the dye for the Sunburst was fading, and so they changed it later, and then they called it the Tomato Soup Burst because they didn't fade. They kind of just stayed that red color. So I'd probably try to find one of the earlier ones that still has like the faded, like a
almost like a lemon burst.
Yeah, or like my Les Paul, my like number one is a Honey Burst, which I really love.
I do.
Oh,
I'm a fan of the Honey Burst.
Yeah. The red, I think it was aniline dye. That's what. Yeah, it would oxidize.
Yeah, so like if you left them in a window, if like there's some famous ones. I think like Red Eye, the one that Jason Isbell plays, it had like a tag on it, so it still has this like area that's red.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
so there's
cool.
all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Nice. Well, it's been a delight hearing about your pedal endeavor and some other, outside things that make you who you are. That's what I meant. And that's really important, especially when we're looking around, trying to find things to connect with in life. And when we stumble upon pedals that catch our attention and that we like hearing, and we can have an actual connection to the person who built that. That's our job number one over here at the Guitar Naps. So,
well, thank you for having me on. It's been fun to kind of talk about it. And that's the thing that's so fun about the boutique kind of pedal world is like I bought a lot of stuff just because I like the guy, making it kind of thing. So
yeah.
Well, we're not done yet.
No.
All right.
Because we're coming up on a segment of our show. It's a little game we like to play called Would You Rather?
You're stuck singing that.
Am I?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Why me?
I could get a recording of Jared on there, but I don't know.
Well, or we could.
Maybe I will.
Maybe we could have a studio recorded version.
There we go.
Yes. Let's throw some money at that.
Do it.
See what sticks. This week's Would You Rather is it ties in with something that Chris had been talking about earlier.
Okay.
So you're taking a tour of Nickelodeon Studios.
All right.
Through the magic of animation, you get sucked into the under the sea there.
Okay.
And you got to play a limited time gig at the Krusty Krab.
Oh, my.
There's just two choices that you have for guitars.
Yeah, naturally.
And both of them are kind of cool, but you have to
But
choose
also
just
crap.
one. But also crap.
Yeah.
Guitar number one is a square SpongeBob-shaped guitar.
Okay. I'm thinking Rick Nielsen here. I can't not think of that.
You're thinking of Rick Nielsen? Why?
Well, because his Dickie or
Uncle Dick.
Uncle Dick. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah. That would possibly be it. This would
You know,
be
yeah,
more.
that's- you know what I'm
this
saying?
would be more square, like a Bo Diddley kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Or option two is a Patrick-shaped star guitar.
Oh, like Bootsy Collins.
Yes. So you have to choose one of those two. And just to be safe, Sandy has let you borrow her diving suit so you can actually breathe
Oh, that's
under the water.
very helpful.
I was
That-
wondering
yes.
about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you're the animation guy. You can make that work, can't you? Can't
Yeah,
you
just draw it.
just draw it in there? Some oxygen tanks, please.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, option one, the square guitar.
Yes.
And tell us which one you would like and why. Or option number two, the star-shaped guitar.
Patrick guitar.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Patrick guitar for several reasons. Reason the first, I'm a fan of Patrick because he likes ice cream and I like ice cream. Two, I actually played Patrick's hand in an episode that we did where he was shredding on a guitar, and then we did a close-up, and so I painted my hand pink and pretended to shred on one of my guitars.
That's amazing.
Like
love
video.
it.
Also, you mentioned Bootsy Collins. Bootsy Collins was on the Patrick show one time.
Oh, my God.
We shot him video. We shot him. He shot on a green screen stage, and then Patrick pulls his head off, and underneath is Bootsy Collins.
Nah.
Watch out.
Yeah. So,
Oh, that's so
there we
cool.
go.
Excellent. Well, that's an excellent choice. That's and proper justification to boot.
Yes.
It all came together.
Yes,
Indeed. All right. Tony?
I think I'm going to be practical about it. I believe a star-shaped guitar would be more difficult to play versus a rectangular-shaped. And so I'm going to go that route.
Yes. I am going to go for the Patrick guitar because I'm pretty sure I have a lot of Patrick's ness in me. You know, I can relate to Patrick on many
Really?
levels. Yeah. And also, I have to choose that because my wife actually calls me Sponge Todd Square Butt. So,
Wow.
so I can't take the square guitar. I'm not taking it anymore.
You hear me? Well, that was fun.
Yeah, super fun.
I just try to tie it all into the whole thing. You got it?
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Indeed. We got a few people to thank, Tony.
That's right, Todd. At this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Very easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win great giveaways. We've given away 4 of these pedals so far, 3 to go, but there's more to come, I'm told. And when we get them, we give them to you.
Yep.
How do you qualify? You become a patron
And we got
sponsor.
3 more
Three
in this batch.
in this batch.
Then I got 2 Gibson hats to give away.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So, yes, in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more.
You get to have your name read on the thing.
That's right, Todd. Your name read on the thing. So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Michael Furman, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Buzz Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, and Sean S. But wait, Todd, there's more. Because there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs.
Yes.
These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones.
They live in Bikini Top.
Bikini Top. You're clever.
Trying.
Excellent reference.
Yes, very nice. And they also have a fez to wear upon their head.
Indeed.
Whilst listening to the podcast. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Adam Johnson, Anthony Gemolero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studios, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Science of Sound, Steve Keys, Tyler Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wow Pickups, and Jimmy Newton. Thank you.
Jimmy Newton. I cannot think of it's like a cartoon character.
Yeah,
It's like Jimmy Neutron. I always think of Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah. That's right. I always think of Fig
He
Newtons.
probably never gets that, and so I'm sorry about that, Jimmy. Okay. My bad.
Yes. Way to lose another Grand Poobah.
Jeez. Anyways, so Chris, where can people go buy these pedals of yours?
OCEpedals.com, no periods. And everything is in stock right now. So please, if you're interested. And if you want to see some demos, go check out YouTube. I have some demos by some of my friends, Buddy Blues, Mark Hopkins, Eric Marrow, that really showcases stuff if you want to hear them first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Tony?
No, it's real simple. Go over to Patreon. I'm in the wrong segment.
You can do that too,
yeah, they got to rewind. Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do. I make custom pick guards.
Perfect.
Shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, what material you want. I will make your guitar even more yours.
It's sticking. It's sticking. I knew it.
It's sticking.
I make things stick.
He's a sticker.
All right. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram just at Guitar Knobs. For whatever reason, I wanted to be brief when I first did that account. Anyways,
those 3 letters really
I
kill
know. Anyways, yeah, we would love to hear what you're up to, what you think of the show. If you got a Would You Rather, we would love to share that on air. And be sure, if you've been considering like, hey, I really love the show, even if you moderately like the show, but you support the idea of this kind of thing and want to support the community, we would love your direct support, and that gets you entered into winning some of these things, like these awesome pedals. And we've been giving stuff away for 8 years. And that I almost forgot. Oh my gosh, we just had our 8th anniversary, Tony. You didn't even buy me.
Where's my flowers?
I think 8 is the thing of the 8 is beef jerky. Yeah.
I thought it was ribs.
It might be. Anyway, so we'd love to hear from you. Do that stuff. And also listen to the Valentinos on your drive from wherever you're at. As soon as you're done with this, listen to that, the Valentinos. It's going to make your drive a lot more intense, if nothing else. We need to say a huge thank you to Chris Evans of O.C.E. Pedals for joining us. We had a great time talking with you, Chris.
Thank you guys. It was really fun. Thanks for having me on.
You are more than welcome. Tony,
Yes.
glad you were here tonight.
Well, thanks,
I
Todd.
always like hanging out with you,
I
Tony.
like when you're here because I don't know how to work this thing.
I see through it now. All right, everybody, have a fantastic Guitar Weekend. Subscribe! Yes. His voice makes up for his looks.
Aww.
Maybe he went to the bathroom a lot.
Could be.
Take this out, Todd. Take it out.
Take it out, Todd. Wow.
Well, I
Todd.
I said it a
So
little
harsh.
more diplomatically.
Damn.
Than that. Yeah.
On behalf of the Guitar Knobs, this is Tony. I would like to apologize for Todd's rudeness.
I can hear you making soup or something.
Let me turn down my mic. You shouldn't be able to hear the soup.
There you go. Oh, by the way, that clapping is a visual for our audio signal. So I'm not just applauding myself.
I mean, you could. It's your show.
Well, anyways, you met Tony.
Hey,
Yes. Hey, Tony.
how's it going?
Yes. He
Pretty
looks
good. Pretty good.
He looks like Phil Donahue's wife, but
Okay.
he sounds like Phil Donahue.
Is that any better?
No.
And there are little tools all the way around the outside of the Menards
nice,
mug.
nice. Awesome.
In fact, I picked it up this morning. I said, I know
Yeah.
what.
My wife got one of those from a bachelorette party. I think it might have looked a little different though.
Oh, different.
Are
Okay.
you a fan of Toast of London? No, this was pure comedy. Pure comedy.
Genius.
Yes. All right, Tanya, you about ready?
Hold on, let me take this out so that I don't
Yeah.
have to do it.
Get the. You sure you want to do that sitting down,
I'd rather sit down than do it. Yes.
like a lady?
You're
That's not going to stand. You're going to knock all that stuff over, you goober.
That's perfect. Perfection.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.